All right, men, welcome to today's episode. The two questions your wife is asking after you hurt her. Now, this might have been a big hurt, something obvious like an affair, or maybe something smaller like neglecting her over time, just being dishonest, losing your temper. We're going to talk about either, no matter what it was, she's asking these questions. So we're going to get to them and how you can answer them and recover. So first, wanted to do a featured review. Thank you so much for leaving these reviews, writing them out. That's what helps the show grow and help us help more men and marriages across the world. So this is by RUESSS Ruiz. Title is This Show is the Real Deal. I've studied various self-help and therapy modalities for decades, so I can pretty quickly sift through the mediocre versus those diamonds in the rough. Mike is the latter. I knew there was something unique about this show versus the tons of couple therapy shows out there the moment I read the title and description. Do yourself a favor and listen. Hey, thank you so much for leaving that review. Guys, write that review out, share this with a friend. That's how we grow this. All right, so the first thing we want to look at is how have you hurt your wife? What damage have you done? So again, if it was something like an affair, that's obvious. A sexual or emotional affair, that's done a lot of damage. One that's maybe not as obvious, but that's common with the guys that I work with is just neglect over time, not listening very well to your wife, not really being there for her emotionally, not really knowing her at a deep level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, not really caring for her, not checking in on her. You know, a lot of guys that come to me that have been married 20, 30 years, this is more the situation where their wife is just kind of tired of not being prioritized over time. Maybe you just said some unkind words. Maybe you've lost your temper. Okay, you've done some damage in that case. Maybe you've just felt entitled to sex over time. And in a way, that's sort of using her, right? Or maybe you've used her for sex instead of making it about connection. Yeah, I know I'm definitely guilty of that. Mosquito type behaviors. And what a mosquito behavior is doing nice things for your wife. So maybe you're cooking, maybe you're cleaning, maybe you're helping with the kids, but there is strings attached to that. Okay. You're doing that because you want something back. You want attention, appreciation, affection, sex. You know that you're doing it this way if you do this for a while and then you get frustrated and you kind of blow up. You're like, man, look at how much I'm doing for you. How come you're not doing anything for me? Okay. Even though maybe, well, you're probably not asking clearly for those things from your wife. You're just kind of like doing these things, hoping something comes back in return. Wives do this too, where they do nice things and they want, something back, but they don't actually tell their husband what they want. All right. So what are the symptoms of this? So having a poor sex life. Okay. If your sex life isn't that good, your wife is probably hurt somehow and sort of not wanting to connect that way with you because of the hurt that's been caused. Okay. You want safety there. You want to feel like the person that you're giving yourself to is going to take care of you. Okay. Another symptom of this damage done is emotional and physical distance. So you're just kind of like ships passing in the night. You don't really connect the way that you'd like. Or, there's not as much hand holding or touching or hugging or kissing. Okay. That's a symptom that you've done some damage there. There's just kind of overall disconnection. Or, something really obvious like your wife wants to separate or, she's talking about divorce. So men usually go about trying to fix this in pretty predictable ways. So after a sexual or emotional affair, they're going to apologize, right? They're going to say, I'm so sorry. And what they're going to try to do, though, is quickly have their wife put this in the past. Okay. So they're going to say, look, I did that, but let's move forward. Okay. Yeah, sure. I did that, but, can't we just keep going in our marriage? This almost always happens. If you've been sort of neglecting her over time, not really listening, not really knowing her, not really sending her messages, they'll like change this really fast. They'll say, oh, Mike, you're right. Like I haven't been doing that. Let me just start doing it. Let me send her tons of texts during the day. Let me send her lots of gifts. Let me, write her a nice note. Okay, let me try to talk to her. And a lot of times they'll try to talk to their wife. Hey, what's going on with you? And their wife won't say anything. And they're like, Mike, this isn't working. But you're doing this sudden change, and look, your wife, she can't trust that yet. Okay, that's what we're going to get to. The questions that she's asking. Here's a spoiler alert. This is one of them. Is can I trust him? And when you make this sudden change, it can't be trusted yet. Okay, if you're guilty of having unkind words or losing your temper, kind of the same approach, right? You apologize and then you're like, hey, we all kind of minimize what you did. Oh yeah, we all lose our temper sometimes. Let's just move forward and kind of keep going. Right? So if you felt entitled to sex, a lot of times guys will just stop asking for it altogether and then get kind of resentful that they're not having sex in their marriage. If you're doing those mosquito behaviors like cooking, cleaning, buying gifts, doing the 5 love languages, right? A lot of times what guys will try to do is actually double down on those behaviors, do more cooking, do more cleaning, ask for sex less, and then get more and more frustrated that that's not working. So these really, they just don't work. And here's why, okay? The underlying problem, right, is that your wife can't trust you yet. And you're trying to speed that process along without actually making the internal changes that it takes, right? Your wife, she wants to know, can I trust him? Is he going to hurt me again, right? And so what you'll see is a certain behavior from your wife. So again, the 2 main questions that she's asking herself, can I trust him? Okay. And is he going to hurt me again? So what you will see happen is what I call a hot and cold behavior. Okay, so you start making some changes. Let's say that your thing was neglect over time. So you're starting to pay more attention. You're starting to connect a little bit more with her, and you're like, man, things are going really good. And then all of a sudden, she will pull away, right? She'll kind of cut things off. She'll stop being physical with you. She'll stop talking with you as much. She'll just say something like, I don't know, I just don't feel as connected. So what's happening there is, she's like, man, maybe I can trust him again. Maybe he is changing. But then that fear of getting hurt again pops back up. Okay, so that's the second question, right? Is he going to hurt me again? So she gets close. She's like, maybe I can trust him. And then she's like, oh, wait, he hurt me and he might hurt me again. So she pulls away. Then she's like, but maybe I can trust him. So she pulls in. Then she remembers, oh, he hurt me in the past. So then she pulls away. Okay. So just understand that's what's going on. It's to be expected. It's normal and part of the process. So, don't get frustrated with that. It's just part of these 2 questions she's asking herself. Can I trust him? And is he going to hurt me again? So you're probably asking, how do you then answer these questions for your wife? Okay. So a lot of men, they're going to come and they're going to say stuff like, come on, yeah, I made a mistake, but look at all the good things I've done. Sure, I had an affair, or sure, I, have approached sex in this way, but look at all the other stuff I'm doing. I cook, I clean, I pay for the house, or, they'll try to point to all these good things and kind of prove that they are a good choice, or that, it's mainly that, right? They're trying to prove, well, look, like I'm a good choice, instead of addressing this idea of trusting and hurting. Okay. You have to show her, yeah, I can be trusted and I'm not going to hurt you. Instead of saying, sure, I hurt you, but look at all this other good stuff. Like that should outweigh these hurts that I did. Okay. Makes sense? So the other thing guys will say is, yeah, I made a mistake, but can't we just move forward? And otherwise minimizing it, again, it's not that big a deal. As whenever you're trying to prove to her it's not that big a deal, or like, look at all the other good stuff I've done, it's going to make things worse because you're not addressing her 2 questions, which is, can I trust him and will he hurt me again? In fact, you're saying you can't be trusted because you don't even understand how you hurt her. And if you don't understand how you hurt her, you're probably going to do it again because you're saying it's not that big a deal. Okay. Some guys will go so far as to say, look, if you can't see all the good that I'm doing, good luck finding someone else. You're not such a great catch yourself. So they'll start kind of putting her down. In other words, hurting her more, like trying to prove to her, well, yeah, sure, I'm not perfect, but neither are you. Good luck finding somebody else that'll take care of you this way. Okay. So what are you showing there? You're showing you're going to hurt her. So she's asking herself, will he hurt me again? You're basically saying, yeah, I am going to, because I'm doing it right now. And can I trust him? No, because basically you're saying, hey, if you don't do what I want, I'm leaving. or, you know, it's just one of the worst things you could say. If you want to create a better relationship with your wife or help her through this process after you've hurt her. Okay. So these responses, the main issues, they're showing the root cause of your problematic behaviors, which is, selfishness, narcissism, basically not really caring about her feelings, making it about yours. When you're like, oh, I made a mistake, but can't we move past it? What you're basically saying is, it's impacting me that you're not getting over this. So can you just get over it so that I can, so I can feel better? You're not seeing her pain. You're not feeling her pain. You're not really caring about her pain that much. Okay. Even to some extent, showing that desire to hurt or sadism, right? If you're saying stuff like, oh, yeah, like good luck finding somebody else, basically you're enjoying that pain that you're causing her. Okay? Again, you're showing you're going to hurt her. That's the question she's asking. Is he going to hurt me again? And you're answering yes. So it's not going to create a good connection. You're also showing poor emotional intelligence and poor emotional control, right? If you're losing your temper again, you're getting upset, you're not taking the time to understand her, again, you're just showing those same colors. You're showing that you're going to hurt her, that you can't be trusted. You're also showing poor communication. You're not expressing yourself very clearly. You're not understanding her very well. Okay. So those responses, they will not work. So here's what to do instead. Okay? Instead of sort of minimizing her pain or saying, man, we've already talked about that so many times, you want to actually go into that pain more deeply. You want to understand it. You want to see it. You want to see the injury, right? You caused that injury. It's like there's a saying, I forget who said it, but when you are doing this work, you want to focus on the wound, right? Not the arrow. That was Sue Johnson. So in other words, you don't look at, let's say if it was an affair, you're not going to look so much at the affair. You're going to look at, wow, how did that hurt? So she's wanting to bring up all these things. You answer her questions, and then you you turn her back around. You say, yeah, man, that must have really hurt you that I did that. I'm so sorry about that. That must have really hurt. Try to get into her pain instead of running away from it and saying, can't we just move past this? Can't we just get over it? Okay, another big one, guys. Remember, she's asking, can I trust him again? Whenever you make a promise, you've got to keep it. You have to be a trustworthy person. That's how you earn her trust back. You be trustworthy. You be a man of your word. You make a promise and keep it. You also start making promises more sparingly. So a lot of guys, after they've hurt their wife, they're going to go into this mode where they're like, yeah, I'll do anything for you. Let me just do it. But then they overcommit and then they start dropping some of those things. That's much worse than just saying, I'm sorry, I can't do that, but I can do this, right? I'm not going to be able to pick the kids up today. I apologize, but I will be able to pick them up tomorrow. And you might think, oh, I'm letting my wife down if I say I can't do it today. But what you're actually doing is showing that you can be trusted, which is the bigger issue. Okay, a lot of the couples that I work with, the wife is concerned that their husband won't, bring up the truth, right? That they won't say stuff that's bothering them because they feel so bad for what they've done, and they're trying to sort of earn their way back. But women, they want to know, what you can and can't do, what you want and what you don't like. Okay, that's showing honesty. That's showing that you can be trusted. It's counterintuitive, but that's what works. Okay, you need to learn to manage your emotions appropriately. Okay, as long as you're blowing up and getting impatient and losing your temper, okay, you're showing her you're going to hurt her and that she can't trust you. You want to use what you know to be able to help and serve her. Okay, so this is an internal shift where it's not so much about you, it's just about her, right? Like, what's going on? What's going on with her body right now? Is there anything I could do to help with that? Does she have a kink or sore? Could I get her, something for that? Does she need a new skin cream? Whatever. Understanding her body, her mind, her heart, her spirit. What's going on with her friends? Can I facilitate her spending time with friends and family? Okay. So your approach is about service. Okay. And then we mentioned this, but it bears repeating. Share what you want and what you're unhappy about in your marriage. Now, this might sound like the opposite of what I said before, But it's just being honest, showing true communication, intimate communication, saying, hey, um, like that example with picking up the kids, saying, I feel like I'm picking up the kids all the time. I feel like that's kind of unfair. And why don't we start switching off days? Now, you might think your wife's going to say something like, oh, you don't care about me. And she might at first. But the truth is, you being honest about that and just saying, look, I, I know, uh, I know that so the kids need to be picked up. I just want it to be something fair. It will start showing that she can trust you, which is what we're going for. Okay. So the transitions need to go from selfishness or narcissism to actual genuine care and service, a desire to hurt or sadism to a desire to help. So instead of saying, oh, yeah, good luck finding somebody else, you're going to say, hey, sure, my wife has her imperfections and struggles, but how can I support her? How can I help her? You're going to move from poor emotional intelligence and control to excellent emotional intelligence and control. Knowing your emotions, being able to recognize them in others, name them, feel them, deal with them appropriately. You can go from poor communication, where you're either not bringing anything up or sharing it in a way that's negative and not useful, to intimate communication, where you share what's bothering you, right, in a productive way. You understand her at a deep level. You find things that work for both of you. And you want to consider coaching. Like these skills are not necessarily easy to build. They're not necessarily easy to see where you're going wrong with. So, you get some coaching, you can get some clear direction on that. So now, what about if you were the one that got hurt? What if you're listening to this and it was your wife or husband that was unfaithful or has hurt you in some way? Okay, so the questions that you're asking, they're important to answer, right? Can you trust them? The answer really is no. It's no for a while, because trust has to be earned over time. I like to think about it like a brick house. It's built one promise made and kept at a time. So if your spouse has had an affair, they kind of wrecked that house. If they have not really responded to your requests for a long time, they've kind of, or just kind of broken small promises over time, they've kind of taken that house down. And so, yeah, you can't really trust it. They're going to have to earn that back by being trustworthy. Like, I like to think about it. You trust people to do different things. I trust my accountant to do my taxes. I trust my brother to, listen to me, but I don't trust him to do my taxes because he doesn't really know how to do that. So when we talk about trust, we trust in different ways. But basically what we're asking in a marriage is, can I trust this person to care about me, to have my best interests at heart, right? So you can choose to have faith, right? To choose to believe that they can change, okay? Um, and you can choose to give them the opportunity to earn trust back, but you don't want to just jump straight to trust. Oh yeah, I trust you. I trust you. No, you don't. Like, I work with couples who've had affairs, and I always recommend that the um, that there's like some monitoring software on the person's phone that was unfaithful. Why? Because you want to verify what they're saying. You can't trust them, so they're going to say, no, I didn't talk to her. And then you can verify that and say, okay, yeah, you actually didn't. Good. That's a promise made and kept. And so now we can keep moving forward. We can move towards trust. Okay. You can't just say, oh, can't you trust me? I said I wasn't going to talk to her anymore. No, of course she can't trust you. Right. And of course you can't trust the person. So don't make yourself feel bad that you don't trust them yet. You can't trust them yet. They have to earn it. Okay. They have to have their promises verified. So the other thing you want to do if you're that hurt one is learn to manage your own thoughts and emotions well. You want to create intimate communication where you're asking for what you want from your spouse. You're also setting boundaries with them, saying, here's what I'll tolerate, here's what I won't. Okay. You want to bring up difficult subjects, be willing to bring up difficult subjects with them. Say, hey, this really isn't working for me. I'd like this to happen instead. Okay. All that's really important. And find those solutions that really work for both of you. Okay. Again, consider coaching. This is a hard thing. This is a traumatic event when your spouse has hurt you. And so working through that, learning the skills, learning the emotions, find a coach that can help you through that. I'd be happy to be that coach for you. So in summary, marriage troubles, they often come because you've hurt your wife in some way, whether that's more obvious like an affair or less obvious like overtime mosquito behaviors, not having good communication, getting upset, neglecting her, that kind of thing. So now she's asking herself, can I trust him? And is he going to hurt me again? Those are the questions on her mind. So how do you answer those? You do it by becoming trustworthy, by being a man of your word. Focus on understanding and helping your wife. Okay, that shows her that you're not going to hurt her, that you're going to help her. And know it's going to take time. Okay, it's like that brick house. You got to make and keep small promises. Just be patient with it. Okay, you becoming trustworthy is what it's about, right? Trust is the fruit of trustworthiness. If you're trustworthy, eventually other people will trust you. If you're just putting on a show, eventually people will see that it's a show and they won't trust you. So you want to be honest in your communication, including what you want and what you don't like. Again, counterintuitive, but when you start bringing this up to your wife, it shows, yeah, you are being honest about it. And you do it in a mature way, right? Not like, oh yeah, I hate that you do this and you're a jerk. No. It's like, no, I think we can balance things out in the family more. I don't really like when you attack me in this way. I don't think that's useful, that kind of thing. And if you are the hurt one, decide whether to have faith that things can get better, right? But don't rush to trust. Okay, it can't be rushed. It has to be built and earned over time. So don't feel bad if you don't trust your spouse yet. You should not trust them yet. They have to earn it over time. And again, consider coaching. I love to help you as an individual or as a couple to work through some of these things. That's what I do. I love doing it. All right, man. So great job today. Work through these things. You can do it. If you are interested in coaching, head over to MikeFrazierMD.com and I will help you there, or strongmenstrongmarriages.com if that's easier to remember. And leave a review so we can share this with men and marriages across the world. And take care. Stay strong, men. We'll see you next episode.